Well, welcome back to the shop, guys. Got a nice Ohio day, and we got our new project here, John Deere 314. Let me flip this camera around. Not sure on the year, but it's older, 80s maybe. Got looks pretty rough, so we're gonna see. The mower, got the deck with it, plow, and our mule drive for the belt to the deck. And a couple belts. Hopefully one of these is the deck belt. We'll see. So first order of business is going to be the hydro bypass. It's locked up, so we're going to try to free that up so we can roll it off the trailer, get it pressure washed, and see what we're working with. All right, well, she's off the trailer. Trying to get some air in the tires now, make it a little easier to move around. Backs are good. Front, we got a screw here. We'll get that plugged up. And then a couple spots on this tire, you can see that one, and then somewhere up here. So get those plugged up real quick, get them holding air, and get a pressure wash. 5 plugs later, hopefully we're good to go. 3 in this one, 2 in the other. We'll find out. We're gonna roll it out in the yard and get her cleaned up now. Well, still gonna check it for spark, but this one is a little different design that I've not seen yet. So we got a wire. Still gonna check it for spark. Got some power hooked up to it, and nothing is happening at the key. We are getting power. You can hear the PTO kick in. Well, there it is. Turn that key on. But nothing actually happened at the key. Thought it might be that seat safety switch. Tried bypassing that. Didn't change anything, so we're gonna go ahead, get the hood and fenders off, and check the solenoid on it. So I've got the front panels and the battery tray off, and the starter solenoid's down here. So I'm going to hook up my jumper cables again, see if I can jump that solenoid with a screwdriver, make sure this engine's not locked up. Also found this nice snake skin underneath this battery, so that's always fun. We'll see if he's still in there or not. Got our jumper in. Let's see what happens. All right. Well, that's good. It's not locked up and the starter works. So the previous owner told me that the fuel pump was no good. Luckily, I've got another one of these Kohler engines right here with a known good fuel pump. I'm gonna pull that off, toss it on here, and we're gonna see what happens. Finding all kinds of stuff, more snakeskin shed, and then it's hard telling, but might have some stuff to clean up in here. So I got our fuel pump off here. I'm going to go ahead and throw it in the ultrasonic cleaner maybe. But I don't think this is our issue, because when you actuate this, it is shooting, that it shot that old fuel out. So I don't know. I'm gonna get this, working on getting this carburetor off so we can tear that down. I'm gonna have to pick up a battery for this. Spark plug does work, but I think that ceramic is cracked, so we'll get a new spark plug. And then I still have to check to make sure the engine is actually getting spark. So we'll see. Well, I may have found part of our problem. That is the diaphragm for the fuel pump. Doesn't look great. Get a new one ordered, and there's some seals and stuff in here. O-rings on these nozzles. Replace some of that, and see if we can draw a little better vacuum. Here is the gasoline being drained out of it. That looks absolutely terrible. Got our carb off, we got our new parts in, got a new solenoid, fuel pump, spark plug, and fuel filter. So I'm going to toss all those on, hopefully get some fresh gas in it, and see what our deal is. Alright guys, so this is not looking good. This is the carburetor. I don't even know what this is, but looks like sawdust or something. Anyways, I'm gonna keep disassembling it and see if I can't get it cleaned up. I don't know, it's not looking good. Alright, so I didn't put much time into this because it's so far gone. And you can see all this rust in here. I did get the float working and the needle valve in there working. I was not able to get this center jet out. You can see where I chewed it all up. So, sprayed it down the best I could. I'll finish getting it back together here. Got this all cleaned up. I don't know. I don't have high hopes for it, but since it's all we got to work with right now, we'll roll with it. Alright, we got our hopefully half-functioning carburetor back together. There's that nasty bottle of fuel that came out. I'll go ahead and pop this sucker back on. We've got our new solenoid in and wired up. Got our new spark plug in there. Only other thing I got to do is add some fresh fuel line with a new filter. And I did break our breather tube, so I'll have to order another one of those, but I'll wait to see if it runs first. They're like 35 bucks just for a little rubber hose. Anyway, so I'll get it all slapped back together and we'll see what it does. Alright, so I had a little change of plans. I went to cut my fuel line to add my filter, and this stuff's just so stiff that filter won't go in there. So I figured I'll put some new stuff on. Couldn't track it to the tank, so I ended up taking the sheet metal off. It's real easy. It's only 4 bolts, 2 in the back and 2 back here by the seat that hold it on, and then your seat safety switch and a couple of these knobs you had to take off. Pretty cool design. So I should probably get this cleaned up while that's off. We'll see. Get this new fuel line on and continue getting it buttoned up. Got our carb on and our new fuel pump. Well, it's a good thing I did this. Try. You can see where this is all gunked up. And the owner was saying previously, before it sat, it seemed like it was starving for fuel, so that's probably part of our problem. Pretty cool, learned something new. There is already a filter on these things. That's the part that's set in the tank here, the shutoff valve. So I think with this being as dirty as it is, I'm going to flush this tank, clean this up, put it back in there, and I think for now I might just skip the fuel filter, or we'll see. I might just cut this off, throw that inline filter, but there you go. So instead of buttoning it up, I went ahead and power washed everything while the tank was off, and figured, well, I'll go ahead and see if these hydro bypasses work or not. And as you can see, they were stuck. Granted, I still have to pressure wash this. There was a cap piece sitting on there, but I got this one free, and now I'm working on this one. These are just your bypasses to let it roll. So I'll mess with this, go out there, pressure wash it one more time, and then slap it all back together and see what happens. So I had to take my bypass valve out to get this working. All it is a little check ball in there, and this corrosion built around this pin was keeping it locked down. So got that freed up. I'm going to clean it up real good, maybe toss another O-ring on up top, put it back in there, and then keep rolling. Good news, bad news. Good news is we now have power from the key to the starter. Bad news, I don't think we're building much compression. I can hear a little bit in there, but I'm going to take the plug out, check for spark, which I know I said I was going to do in the beginning of the video, but you can easily get carried away on this stuff. Do that, check for spark, and then compression test it. So we're only producing about 42 psi in pressure. I'm not sure. Seems pretty low for these motors. I'll have to look that spec up, but 42 seems low. I don't know. Maybe I'm missing something. Regardless, we do have spark, so I think I'm going to toss the plug in there and see if we can't get it to actually fire up. This may or may not be good. sucking fuel up. That's good. I want to burn that starter up. You know the routine, not ideal. Whoa, wants to. All right, I'm gonna give it a break. Disgusting. Well, it will run. Got our cheapo Amazon carb in. Get this swapped out and hopefully hear it run and stay running. Got the new carb on. I ran into a couple of issues. I had to swap the old butterfly and a butterfly arm out. The new one was a little different design and it wanted to keep getting hung up, so got that swapped. It's working good now. And then the fuel nut, the pipe threads on it, I don't think are done correctly. It's only maybe 4 or 5 threads in there, but I don't want to keep cranking on it and risk cracking the aluminum, so put a little Teflon tape. We'll see what that does. It's time to wheel it outside and see if it'll run. Well, of course I forget to hit record, but I did get it running. It's smoking extremely bad, burning oil. One other problem I found with this carb when I tried starting it up, it was just pouring gas out while there's a spring inside the old one. It kind of helps that float close with that fuel pump, and that was not in this new one, so I swapped that in, fixed the fuel issue, got it running. There's a bunch of lingering smoke, so hopefully it's just a bad head gasket. I'm gonna go ahead and take the head off and see what we're working on. Here it is running. It might be hard to see on the camera, but it's smoking pretty good. I don't know if the camera will pick it up, so we'll have to look into that. Working on getting the tins off to access the head there, but just looking at it, I'm pretty hopeful because you can see where that head meets the block. It's all wet with oil, so that is a good sign that the head gasket's blown. Hopefully that head's not warped. I'll just keep digging into it, pop that head off. I guess I'll order another head gasket now, and that should fix our low compression problem and fix the terrible smoking. Got the head undone. Let's see what we're working with. Maybe it's gonna be hard to do one-handed. Okay. Both valves are functioning and the seats look fine on them. I'm gonna run the cylinder down, check the bore for any scoring or anything like that, and then we'll get all this cleaned up. And you can see where the old gasket was leaking, where it's all dark down here, so that's a good sign. Hopefully it's just that head gasket. Get this cleaned up and looking a little better and see what happens. More bad news. After sitting here thinking about it, there shouldn't be oil coming out of that gasket. There shouldn't even be any getting up here, so that makes me think that these rings are bad and it's losing compression there. The cylinder, there's no scoring, but it definitely looks wore out. So we might have to put a set of rings in this. More bad news. After getting it cleaned up and looking at this piston, you can see right along this edge some deformation. So, and I'm sure oil is bypassing right there. Something happened. So now the decision is whether or not to take this motor out, split it, get the piston out, look for a new one, check the bore. I did find a pretty decent score on this side of the bore. I don't know, maybe a ring broke or something, but it's definitely not looking great. And there was a lot of buildup right here. Yeah, not good. Then I'll go ahead and pull it, take it apart. Why not? I learned after manhandling this motor out of this tractor onto the bench, let's just go ahead and do it the easy way. Got our engine hoist. The engine is out, just wraps it around the motor mounts right there. So we will get this motor over onto the workbench and start tearing into it. Get some more stuff cleaned up. But I want to get this piston out and see what's going on in there. We got our bottom cover off here for the engine, and this would be the flywheel side that would be facing towards you. This is our PTO side, just to give you an idea. So looking at the internals of it, here's our connecting rod, runs up to our piston up there, and then we've got our camshaft, and this little arm, that little brass arm, is our fuel pump, and that's actually what drives the fuel pump. So I'm going to take these two bolts out, get the connecting rod cap out, and then push that cylinder through, see what it's looking like, and go from there. Moment of truth. Well, something definitely wrong with it. I wonder if it's just burned up. So I think that's right where the intake piston was. I don't know. I'm going to inspect it a little more. Got some of my measuring tools out. I'm going to clean this bore up and start pulling some numbers from it, see what kind of shape we're in. I did find the service manual that had the bore information. So brand new, your bore's at 3.5 inches. That's plus or minus 5/10,000ths of an inch. Your max wear limit's going to be 3/1000ths over 3.5. Your max outer rounds are going to be 3/1000ths of an inch, and max taper from top to bottom 2/1000ths of an inch. I'm going to assume that these two sides are going to be a little more worn. You can see the crankshaft down there, and just due to the rotational forces in that piston, these two surfaces of this bore will probably see more wear. But I'll check it this way and that way, check the taper, and see what kind of shape we're in here. We got our measurements done, and I will say that this isn't the best way to measure. These are telescoping mics, and cheap ones at that. I also don't have a micrometer that goes up to 3.5, so I had to use my calipers, and they are only accurate to 1/1000th of an inch. So there will be a little bit of discrepancy, but regardless, I feel okay about the number. So I call this axis X and this axis Y. I've got an upper and a lower measurement, and those are all right here. And if you don't care for this stuff or the math, go ahead and skip forward. But we've got, if you look at these numbers, our highest numbers are upper Y, and we're creeping up on the 3.503 max wear limit. We're still 5/10,000ths under that number, so it's getting wear in there, but it's still within spec. If we look at let's look at our taper next. They call out a max of 2/1000ths in the service manual. So that taper is going to be your upper, the difference between your upper and your lower measurement. So our X here, we've got about a 4/10,000ths difference, and our Y, we've got about a 1/1000th difference. So both of those still under the 2/1000th. We will call that good. And now our max out around, service manual called 3/1000ths max. That's where you're going to look at your upper measurement for both. So your upper X versus your upper Y, and same for lower. So for our upper, we've got a difference of 1/10,000th of an inch, In our lower, we've got a difference of about 5/10,000ths of an inch. So out of round is less than or equal to 5/10,000ths of an inch, well under our 3,000th call out. So I'm going to call this bore still good. I did take the rings off the piston here, and you can see the spot where it was chewed up, deformed somehow. Don't know what the heck caused that. Then you can see some different wear in here. I think those rings were pretty wore out too. So this one's going to be good for the trash. Connecting rod looks good. Wrist pin feels good. Here's our rings, and I will show you. I believe this is the upper ring, and there's, hopefully the camera will pick it up. Let me get it turned around here. Sorry, it's hard to do this one-handed. So see if the light will focus. Right here at my thumb. There you go. You see this left side's a little more polished, and then it kind of starts tapering up at an incline to this duller finish. I think that's just the wear on the ring. So definitely need a new set of those. And in the meantime, I'm gonna hone our cylinder, get a new surface finish on there for our oil, start working on cleaning stuff up while we're waiting on parts, and then I'll get rolling again. I got a buddy who let me borrow his bore gauge just to double check my bore numbers, and they were all pretty spot on, except for the upper X here. It was a little closer to 3.503, a few tenths under, but I'm not going to worry about it. I mean, this is a 40-something-year-old motor, so we're just going to roll with it. I'm going to try to get it cleaned up here. Still trying to figure out if I want to tear it down the rest of the way, get the crank out, cam, valves, all that stuff. I don't know. I'm this far, so I might as well. We've got our new parts here. We've got a new connecting rod. I guess it's an updated version. I've got an updated piston sitting on my toolbox over here, the rings, and then found a Sten's gasket set. So I think I'll just go ahead and continue the disassembly, get this thing completely tore apart, and rebuild it from there. Take a second and show you guys some redneck ingenuity. So I need to get these valves out, but I didn't have the correct valve compressing tool. I stopped by my buddy's again, got one, but it's a different style. So when you got a grinder and a welder, you can figure stuff out. I had an old tool, a stupid tool for the 5.4 Triton 3 valves a while back that I bought to work on my old truck. Anyways, cut that all up and was able to make a tool to slide on there. Compress these valve springs to get my keepers out. So here's one valve. Now we can lap these things later on. Get the other one out and continue with the disassembly. Not sure if this is factory or not. This is my clutch side. Just got the clutch off. But it looks like there's RTV all around this oil seal. Never seen something like that before. Well, we got our clutch off. We're going to work on our bearing plate here next. And then my exhaust valve was sticking in there. It gets to a point right about there and it doesn't want to pull out. So don't know what we're doing there yet. Well, that was stupid. Should have left that clutch on. Got my crank out, but it came out with the bearing plate. So that was not ideal. But anyways, get all this crap cleaned up. See where it's just been leaking and building up dirt over the years. Well, I'm going to call that disassembled. Finally got our camshaft out. It's kind of cool design. This long pin just feeds right through it from each side of the engine block. So that is our disassembly here. And yeah, the camera can pick it up pretty good. You can see from there to that kind of parting mark, this right here is your factory honed finish on there. You can see some scoring on there. But you got that 45-degree crosshatch. And you can see where it's more polished up here. That's the travel of the actual piston. It doesn't come all the way down here. But I mean, you can see how wore out it is. So I'll hone that, see what it does. But now we're going to go ahead and get all these components completely cleaned up. I'm just going to leave this valve in there. I can't figure out what the deal is. It's hanging up somewhere. Not too worried about it. get everything cleaned up and get ready for assembly. Still working on getting the block cleaned up, working on honing now, and I think I'm pretty happy with that cross hatching. I mean, I'm no professional, so it's not going to look great, but it's better than that polished surface that was in there. It's feeling pretty good. So I think we'll call this bore good and keep working on getting her cleaned up. Out with the old and in with the new. It's time to start getting this thing put back together. I did check our piston ring gaps, and as expected they are on the high side, but that's what you get for a 40-year-old motor. Anyways, we got all of our parts as clean as they're gonna get, so we'll get slapping this thing together. Working on getting our cam in here. Gotta drive this pin in a little, then we'll toss our crank in. So I'm in a bit of a hurry to get this motor back together and off the workbench, so I'm not gonna record every little bit of this process. I'll give you some snippets here and there, but I'll pretty much see you guys when I got it back together. Here's the progress I've made so far. Got the camshaft, the lifters, our crank, and our bearing plate on. Now, something I've never done before is shimming. This is the first one of these motors I've taken apart, but there's actual, see if I can get a picture of it. You can barely make it out right there. That kind of yellow line are these paper shims that are 5/1000ths of an inch thick. And you have to shim those to get your crankshaft to your bearing in play. You can see a little tiny gap right here. Let's see if it'll focus. You can kind of see it opening up and closing. So you gotta have that so that motor spins freely. Now, I think it's time to drop, or actually we've still got to assemble our piston and connecting rod. Get that assembled and then drop it in there. I've now got all the internals back in. Just got our connecting rod and piston back in there. It's time to start putting all of the external pieces. We'll go ahead and get the lower pan put back on, some different covers and stuff. Get our valves set up and dialed in. One of the hardest things to do on this motor is get these little valve keepers in and out. After some time, we finally got them in. So now we're just rolling with putting some covers back on. And then we'll get our stator and flywheel coil, all that put back on. And we should be ready to drop her in the John Deere. Finally, looks like an engine again. We've got everything assembled as far as our bench assembly goes. What I have left is to put the brackets on that actually bolt the motor to the garden tractor. We'll get those tossed on and start working on installing it back onto the tractor. That was fun. Got it dropped back in. Now I'm going to put my engine mount bolt in and then get it hooked up just enough to see if it's going to fire up or not. I'm hoping this is an omen. My breather tube that I ordered a couple days ago just came in the mail about 5 minutes ago, right as I was wiring this thing up, hooking everything up. So I hope that's a good omen that this is going to work. It wasn't supposed to be here for a couple days. I think that I've about got this thing ready to go. We got our ground running from our body to the engine, and we've got our clutch hooked up. Let's see, we got our stator hooked up. I think it's time to put some oil in this. Oh, we got our muffler on. Put some oil in it and hook up a battery and see what happens. Thinking about this motor while I'm putting it back together, when I originally took that compression test number, it would have been way lower than what it would be if it's running, because that cam did have an automatic compression release mechanism on it. Anyways, we were burning oil, as you saw with all that smoke, so filling it up with oil and then we'll get set up outside. All right, the moment we've all been waiting for. It's probably going to have to crank a second to work that fuel up to it. Let's see. Safety first. All right, carb cleaner it is. Well, fired for a second. Well, after it ran here for a little bit and warmed up, it looks like it burned all that old oil off. Still some smoking going on up here. That was all pretty wet with oil, but it sounded good. And we do have drive. We've got our forward creeping up and our back, so the transmission works. I'm pretty happy with that. We'll get it back in the garage and continue getting it back together. Well, I was finally able to find the time to get this thing buttoned back up, and it seems to be running right and working right. Have a couple of issues to get to at some point. A couple of the gaskets on the left side of the motor didn't seal up all the way, so there's a little bit of oil leaking out. Not a big deal. And then I do still have to change the hydraulic or transmission, I guess it's all the same, oil and filter in this thing. But we've got the cold setting in. I just got this thing winterized, so for now, we're gonna just let it sit in the shop until springtime rolls around, and then it'll be time to deal with those two issues. And then from there, the plan is to see how it does plowing up the garden. In the springtime, I've got the plow on it, and then a single point plow, or said that backwards. It's got the hitch on it, and it came with a single point plow. Anyways, if you guys want to see a video of that, let me know. We'll see how it does. But for now, we're going to call that good and call it a win. So that's the end of this one, and on to the next. As always, if you guys enjoy watching these videos, if you'll leave a comment or a like or subscribe to the channel, I really appreciate it. Yeah, time to get the shop cleaned up and on to the next. See you guys.